Today is letting go for Lent. As I mentioned before, I invite you to think of this Lent season, approaching Easter, approaching our celebration of the birth of Christ consciousness, God awareness, in the very center of every being on this planet and this planet. And as you do consider letting go what might be yours to let go of, I invite you to let it go in a manner that is gentle and easy. I had a teacher that had an entire book called Let It Be Easy. And the teaching is, what might this be like if I let it be easy? And guess what happens? It is easy. What's not easy is me remembering that and being willing to allow it to be easy. But when I allow it to be easy, then easy it is. That's another way of saying that's how I get out of my own way and let the Spirit take the lead. Let go and let God. Let it be easy. You can think of Lent as an invitation to release all that no longer serves us, in a way to clear our spiritual vision, to better see the presence of God in everything and everyone, as we say each Sunday. That is our mission, our task, if you will, to see the presence of God in everything and everyone, everywhere, all the time, as the Master Teacher saw. We make space in this way for divine transformation. We allow it to happen. We don't do it. We allow it to unfold within us. Spiritual growth requires a new consciousness, right? A new way of thinking, which means a new way of seeing, not just a change in habits. Although changing habits can prompt our consciousness, because it can help us see where the difference between where we are and where we would like to be. If you change a habit, you create a tension in yourself from your old way of being to your new way of being. That tension can be very helpful in highlighting where you're coming from and where you're going to. Today we explore the power of letting go, how releasing fear, our thinking mind, mental clutter, if you will, can open us to greater peace and clarity and divine flow in our lives. This is a teaching from the Master Teacher that always confused me. I hope it won't confuse you after today, but maybe it has been. It's the teaching that says you cannot put new wine into old wineskins. What on earth does that mean? Not only do I not drink, when I did, I wasn't drinking out of wineskins. We don't really have that anymore, right? We got wine bottles. But what this means, if I can translate it into kind of plain language for today in our consciousness, is you can't put a new idea into an old way of thinking, because it cannot stand. It will break that old way of thinking. New ideas have to come into a new consciousness. So as you open yourself to transformation, as you open yourself to being willing to let go, recognize that part of what you're letting go of is your old way of thinking about things. And if we can become okay with that, if we can feel safe enough to let go and just see what happens, you can do it as an experiment. I've been told if you let go of something and you experience a healing and a surge in energy in your life changes, if you're afraid of that practice, don't worry. Your misery can be refunded at any time. If you want to go back to your old way, you're more than welcome to do it. But based on my experience and what I have seen is you won't even be thinking about that when you get on the other side. But if you're concerned moving in, don't worry, your misery can be refunded to you. Co-founder Charles Fillmore said we must deny the old worn out beliefs and affirm the new understanding. Talking about our denial and affirmation practice, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. And an anonymous quote, I don't know where this came from, about holding on to things that no longer serve us, particularly about, in this case, resentment. It says holding on to anger. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. When it's us that's affected. It's us. My resentments create problems for me. Or as I've heard it said, it's another thing I love about our unity movement. It was this, using more traditional language. We're not punished for our sins, we're punished by them. Right? And a sin being a spiritually ignorant notion, any idea that's contrary to the truth of God. If I'm carrying falsehoods in my mind, that will cause me trouble. Right? That idea itself. Nobody outside of me is giving me a hard time because I'm carrying it. I'm the one who's doing it. If I'm willing to let go and let the Spirit take that place in my consciousness, then all is well. That's what healing feels like. Co-founder Myrtle Fillmore said, when we let go of personal striving and yield to the divine guidance within, I love that, yield to the divine guidance within. You know, yield means step back so that it can step forth, get out of our own way. When we yield to the divine guidance within, our highest good unfolds naturally. You don't have to go get it. You don't have to go figure out what it is. Like we're used to in this manifest world, the idea that you got to decide what you want to do and you got to go out there and get it and you got to beat everyone else who's trying to get it also. That's a very ego-centered way, ego-minded or thinking mind, a terrestrial way. That is not of the Spirit. If I simply get out of the way and allow the Spirit to unfold in me, allow that to be my source of guidance, I don't have to think of it. I don't have to figure it out. I don't have to compete with anybody. It unfolds naturally. This is right there. And it's the most astonishing thing. In fact, it's so hard to believe that even if we have that experience, we can revert back to our old ways thinking this can't possibly be this easy. Like some part of me that's holding on and says, you better work hard for every single thing you get. Well, what if I just let go, got out of my way, and let the Spirit take the lead and follow it? What if I let it be easy? Would it be okay if I had a wonderful life, if I let it be easy? Or do I not deserve it because I didn't work very hard and sweat and knit my brow? What do you think? Would it be okay with you if you had a beautiful, wonderful life because you got out of the way and let the Spirit take the lead? It would. I can tell. This place where you are right now, we said this morning, God's circle on a map for you. That's another way of saying there's no accident. You're here by divine appointment. You are exactly where you are to be in this world. I think I've spent too much time. I should be doing something different. I should have a different job. I should look like this. I should do this. My hair should be shorter. My hair should be longer. All of these things. If we can simply let go of that, that's what's standing in our way. If we can simply let go of that, let go and let God, if you will, then all of that falls away. And in an effortless, that is how it feels, in an effortless unfoldment of your highest good. But you have to be willing to know that it's okay. You deserve that. You're allowed. You're allowed to have a wonderful life. You're allowed to let go. You're allowed to recognize that right here where I am, God circled this place on a map for me. Many times we are limited, I'm going to say self-limited by our own past. Right? Old ideas that we're hanging on to. Maybe somebody told us something when we were little and it stuck with us and we believed it, right? Because big people are supposed to know what's going on. But now that we got older, what do we find out? They don't know what they're doing either. But when we're little, we didn't know that. I still fall in that trap. I still encounter someone and say, oh, this person is an expert and they know everything about this. Everything that they say is true and this is the right and only way to do things. My mind will still fall in that trap. Right? I open myself to letting go of that even. Co-founder Charles Fillmore said, we're not limited by our past unless we choose to hold on to it. So yes, our past can limit us, but it's really me who's doing the limiting. Right? It's not my past, not what happened. It's not what somebody else, it's not what someone else said. It's what I'm carrying. Maybe I created it because of what someone else said, but I still created it. Right? So I'm the only one that can release it. I'm the only one who can uncreate it. I had a teacher that would say about anything, and this teacher let it be known she was married 7 times, and then she decided to stop getting married. She said this applies to a spouse, a car, or a house, anything at all. She'd say, honey, you prayed it into your life, you can pray it right on out. I created this so I can let it go. In fact, only I created it and only I can let it go. No one else can do it for me. No one can, but I can, and you can too. The Christian mystic Meister Eckhart said, be willing to be a beginner every single morning. Be willing to be a beginner every single morning. I said once to my meditation teacher early on when I was on this path that I was almost like a confession. I said, man, every time I sit down to do a meditation, I feel like I'm a beginner. And at that time, my teacher had been about 25 years into his sitting practice. He looked at me didn't lose a beat and said, everyone's a beginner every time we sit, every single time. In fact, beginning again is the practice, right? So if you've done a simple breath awareness, mindfulness meditation, raise your hand. You know what that is, right? What do? We sit quietly, we relax our body, we bring our awareness to our breath. What that means is feel what it feels like to breathe physically. Trust me on this. This is what we do. And then what happens? Your mind wanders away, right? What you do when you notice that your mind has wandered away is you return your attention to your breath. Okay, that's the entire practice. If you're doing it for the first time, those are the steps. If you've been doing it for 100 years, those are the steps. It doesn't change. It really is that simple. What's not simple is all the things my mind will come up with to distract me from that. Right? So we just keep coming back to that awareness over and over. And every time we come back, every single time, we're a beginner once again. We begin again. That's exactly where we're supposed to be. Be a beginner. Have beginner's mind. Be a beginner. It's okay. You don't need to be an expert. In fact, when you start thinking you're an expert, might be when you're really lost on the path. But don't worry, the universe will let you know. We'll issue you a course correction and bring you back. But all you have to do is keep coming back to right here and right now. A very good way to do that is with breath awareness. Not the only way, but it's the only way you need. Right? We don't need, there are dozens and dozens, maybe hundreds of spiritual practices in this world. You don't need a dozen spiritual practices. You need one spiritual practice and dedicate yourself to that. This is the kind of internal prayer that we do. This is recognizing the presence of God everywhere, right here and right now. In fact, we can call it a very good name, alternate name for it is practicing the presence of God. That is what we are doing when we sit quietly, notice our breath, and keep coming back. Keep coming back. Myrtle Fillmore said, we must let go of fear and embrace faith. For in faith, we find our true power. Right? Faith is our willingness to walk forward even when we're afraid or we don't know what's going to happen. Faith is what we do when it's been said, if you take a leap of faith, if I leap off a cliff, one of two things is going to happen. A net is going to appear or I'm going to sprout wings. Right? Faith is knowing that that is true. It's willing to take a step into the unknown. And when the Spirit is leading us, you can never go wrong doing that. That doesn't mean you won't run into strife and trouble, because sometimes we got to work through old stuff, which is not fun, right, to get on the other side of it. But know that it's okay, that you're okay, that this is your work to do. And within you, you carry that presence of God The question is not whether it's there, it's are you aware of it? Do you know that it's there? Because it is there, I guarantee it. And by doing these practices is how we discover for ourselves that presence that is within us. I've said many times, and I love this about our Unity Church, I am not asking you to believe anything I say just because I'm saying it. But I invite you to take up these practices yourself and see what happens. And I know that if you do what we have done, you will arrive where we have arrived. You will know. But that's something that we each have to do for ourselves. The Sufi mystic Rumi said, as you start to walk on the way, this is a beautiful, colorful description of faith. As you start to walk on the way appears. Or as I've heard it said, a door will open where before there was no door. When we walk in faith, doors open that weren't even there. We could not perceive them. I might say, well, maybe they were there, but if I can't see it, it's not there. Opportunities arise that weren't there before. The way opens in front of us. So I mentioned before, Mr. Fillmore alluding to a practice that we have called denial and affirmation. It's a simple two-step thing. I want to share it with you. It is, in a way, putting into practice the ancient wisdom that says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Right, so we're going to change our thinking. That's what renewing your mind means. And one way that can help us do that is if we find ourselves in a pattern, an old pattern that is not helpful. We're telling ourselves things that we know aren't true, but we just can't feel it. We still believe it. We want to not believe it. How can we do that? So I invite you to this two-step process. The first step is, we call it denial. It doesn't mean we're denying what's happening. It's we're denying that it has power over us. Do you get that? We're denying the power that we've been giving it. We're going to take our power back from it. So it might be, I'll think of an example. So I quit smoking. I'm really good at quitting smoking. I've done it many, many times. But fortunately, when I did it, I don't know how many years, 8 years ago, whenever I did it, it seems to have stuck. I'm happy about that. But while it was very difficult to do, has anyone here ever quit smoking? Is one of the most difficult things to let go of. My goodness, what a trap. What a trap. During that time, I could say that this substance, this nicotine, this cigarette, smoking, we'll just call it, smoking has no power over me. Even though kind of from the outside it looks like it does. Right? I'm affirming that it doesn't. I'm using my divine faculty of imagination. I'm seeing a new way of being. The smoking has no power over me. I am a radiating center of divine health. Can you hear that? I don't know anyone didn't quit smoking because it was killing us and we knew it, right? As soon as I realized that smoking was killing me, I waited 15 years and then I quit smoking. Don't worry, we'll eventually get there, right? We'll eventually get there. Smoking, this habit, has no power over me. I am a radiating center of divine health. What that does is show me where I am and where I know I can be. How to get from here to here is the practice that I define. Just get out of the way, turn within, allow it to unfold. Allow it to unfold within you. But the denial and affirmation shows me very clearly the old way and the new way. I have to say it out loud. Here's what I am no longer allowing to have control over my life. Even if everyone around me says, just because you said that didn't change it, it still does. Say, I know this is a process here. I'm walking a path here. When I say smoking has no power over me and everyone around me rolling their eyes, that's okay, because I'm making an internal change. And I say, I'm a radiating center of God's health, of divine health. Well, it helps me a lot to get from A to B when I can see A and I can see B. That's all you need to do. That's all you need to do. My final word of counsel, if you will, is to trust God. Trust the presence of the Spirit that is in you. This is very hard to do because we are enculturated, we are taught, we take on early in life not to trust the invisible goodness that is at the core of everything, but rather to look at the world around us. Don't do this and do that, and if you do that, you're bad. If you do this, you're good, so don't do that and do this. We internalize all these messages. I am asking you not to trust what the world is telling you around you, but trust the guidance of the Spirit within you. And you'll know it's the guidance of the Spirit because it is always loving, always gentle, always true. It's never harmful. The Spirit in you never tells you to harm anyone or anything. You will know it because it is who you are. People said to me, well, how do you know that that voice in you is God? And I said, how can you not know your Creator? How can you not know? You will know. There's no way you won't know. Right? Just practice, just listen. And when it feels right, you'll know that it feels right. Julian of Norwich, another Christian mystic, said, you were made by love, made of love, and made for love. God is love. And when guidance comes up from within you, seemingly out of nowhere, and you recognize it instantly, you know who you are underneath it all. You see love. So I'll close with this. What if we're afraid to let go of is the very thing preventing our growth? What if the thing that we're afraid to let go of is what's preventing our growth? It's easy to see that with something like smoking when I quit, or when I quit drinking years ago. What would happen if you let go? Are you willing to? Are you willing to trust enough to see what would happen? Just do an experiment. What would happen if you let go? And as I said before, don't worry, if it doesn't work out, your misery can be fully refunded. What would happen if you let go? I invite you to find out for yourself what would happen. So here's our affirmation. I'll say it and we can say it together. I let go of all that no longer serves me. I open my heart and mind to divine wisdom, divine love, and a new life. Is that what it says?
No. Close.
All right. So I'm going to tell you a story. I improved it after I wrote it here. And as I said that, the Spirit in me is going, and then I had enough sense to ask, is that what it says? Oh, no, not at all. I'm going to start over. You ready for this do-over? I let go of all that no longer serves me. I open my heart and mind to a new life. Now let's say that together. I let go of all that no longer serves me. I open my heart and mind to a new life.